Welcome to the Daily Boogie.
Try it again.
The Weekly Stelter.
You could hear it? Okay, I couldn't. OBS, doing their thing once again. What a delicate lady she is. Okay, let's go, Brian.
Looking back at this wild week of news, I think NBC's Chuck Todd said it best the other day. He said this may have been the Trumpiest week yet. And all
The
of that
Trumpiest
was on
week
display
yet.
at Saturday night's rally in Pennsylvania. I looked at the rally and I heard an enemies list. The president ticking off all the people he views as opponents, including the aforementioned Chuck Todd.
Sleepy eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch. CNN, fake as hell, CNN. The worst.
See, I love this. This is so ironic because Brian Stelter especially spends a lot of his time saying how obsessed Trump is with criticism. He can't take criticism. He's thin-skinned. He can't handle it. Yeah. Like, you should ignore everything that Donald Trump says because, I mean, he is off the planet. He's living in a fantasy land. But as soon as he comes out and says something against CNN, it's like, all of a sudden, this is an attack on the free press. It's not fair. How can he do this? Media at the top of Trump's enemy list. That's like, now they take him seriously. It's incredible.
That Washington, D.C., you got a lot of evil there. A lot of bad people, a lot of fake media. Look at them. A lot of fake media.
Journalists are still near the top of Trump's enemies list, and that attack against Chuck Todd in particular has to be called out.
Called out.
It's offensive, and it's just plain wrong.
It's plain wrong. He's awake at least 10 hours a day. The sleepy son of a bitch, Chuck Todd. Brian Stelter, he deals in facts. Brian Stelter deals in facts only. That attack on Chuck Todd needs to be called out. Chuck may get up at 10 a.m., but he's awake for like at least until early afternoon. So I'm calling you out, Dictator Donald, in your enemies list.
And if the president doesn't know that, maybe Melania can tell him?
Oh.
But look, there were many other attacks, many other names on the enemies list. Even though the president was stumping in Pennsylvania, he decided to attack a California congresswoman and a Massachusetts senator.
Attack, attack, attack.
Can you imagine covering Bernie or Pocahontas? Pocahontas, how about that? And Maxine Waters, a very low IQ individual. Ever see her? I'd love to beat Oprah. I know her weakness. No, I know her weakness.
And she knows yours. But hey, that's besides the point.
Yeah, that's besides the point, says Brian Stelter. I thought it was funny because people were saying that Donald Trump was racist for saying that Maxine Waters was stupid. So he just tweaked his language a little bit, changed it to low IQ individual, just to get around the censors. But it didn't work. See, Brian's far too smart for that. He's not going to fall for that kind of dog whistle. Brian Stelter, the seasoned professional Brian Stelter. I love it too. Framing these attacks. He's attacking Democrats. It's like, how dare he? It's like, did CNN just suddenly forget what a rally is? What a political rally is? Imagine if you guys were in high school or in college and, you guys have these pep rallies and the cheerleaders come out and the captain of the team or the dean or whoever gets up in front of everyone and it's like, we're gonna crush those guys on a football field. They're rubbish. And you just love and everyone cheers. Yes. Whips up the crowd. Somebody's like, Do you really think it's fair to be attacking the other side? Can we just ease up on the attacks, please? Can we just stop attacking people at this rally? At this rally? Stop with the attacks. Carry on, Brian.
This rally had it all. A lot of jokes, a lot of playfulness that the crowd loved, but
Had it all.
also hatred of his enemies, hostility.
It had it all. Jokes, good times, and hatred.
Toward dissent, hints of racial resentment, a lot of anxiety about
Racial
the future,
resentment?
and a lot of nostalgia about the past.
Hints of racial resentment. It's like, it's like a pinch of salt. It's like we don't want this dish too salty. We just want a hint of salt. There was a hint of racial resentment. Not enough to really overpower the dish, just enough so you know it's there. No example was given, of course, but that's how we roll. Carry on, Brian.
Even the 2016 election. Notice what he says here about women voters.
Didn't we surprise them with women during the election? Remember? Women won't like Donald Trump. I said, have I really had that kind of a problem? We got 52%, right? 52, right?
He's wrong in a way that's really intriguing. Trump actually won 41% of female voters. So let me show you why this matters. When he said 52% of women, he apparently meant white women. You can see there 52% of white women went for President Trump. He was unable to win black and
There's that hint of racial resentment. Hey, Brian? Those bloody white women.
Hispanic women in big numbers. Look, if other presidents made these kinds of errors, the kinds of errors that Trump makes at these rallies, it would be front page news, right? It would be front page news, but not anymore.
Really?
We have a lot to get to this hour, including Chuck Todd responding to the president's vulgarities. But first, let's go to Selena Zito. She's a columnist with the New York Post and the Washington Examiner, also works with us.
I don't know about you, but this looks like a high-energy panel.
Here at CNN, and she was at the rally last night. I'm also joined by April Ryan, White House correspondent and Washington bureau chief for American Urban Radio Networks, and John Avlon, editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast. Selena, you were there. I'm describing a pretty dark image, a lot of enemies.
Oh, we're back to the dark imagery again of Trump's speeches. Now, Brian, we've just said how, we had jokes, everybody was having a laugh. It was a great time, and just a dash of... But now it's like, you were there. How dark. It was dark, wasn't it? And the enemies. Think of the enemies.
My enemies will tremble in their boots.
The enemies of Donald Trump. And here's a joke about that sleepy son of a bitch, Chuck Todd. Maybe he was making reference to the robot, I am President Trump. Watch me walk around the stage. It's like, how dark is this? He's contemplating an AI future where the robots will kill us all. Skynet. Trumpnet.
The president was talking about, but it sounds to me from your reporting that the people at the rally thought it was very lively, very positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those
so
bastards.
The parts that you picked out obviously are not normal. And that's not what presidents say. And when you look at it in the piecemeal, it's unnerving. But
Unnerving?
you have to look, for me as a reporter on the ground, I live in the 18th Congressional District as well. This is the first time, this has sort of been the center of attention.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it sort of from the perspective of the people that are going. So I got there super early. I mean, there were people that camped out overnight to make sure that they got into the event. There were I don't know what the number was, but there were a ton of people that were turned away. So
Seems like a lot of people in the 18th are clamoring for some dark and disturbing imagery, Brian.
they couldn't attend. These events.
Look at him. He's not happy. He's not happy because she's saying, no, these people were lining up. They were sleeping outside to get in. They were really excited. They were having a good time. Look at Brian. this is not why you were invited on my show. She's going off script. See, the trouble is with one of these panel shows, it's very hard to hit the, oh no, we just lost the satellite button, you know, so early on in the piece. We're only like 3.5 minutes in. Oh no, we've lost the satellite. Look at him. That's a death. That's dark imagery right there. That is a death stare. Cut the feed. Cut the feed.
Are very festive. They remind you very much of attending a tailgate party. You know, people are happy. They see their neighbors. They bring their kids. They bring their families. And they're excited about attending. They're excited about seeing the president. And for them, it's aspirational because they feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves.
And that's the divide in America today.
It is.
Between
James says the guy on the right, you should have seen him huff. Oh, we'll get to
the
him.
folks who attended the rally and the folks who, let's take President Trump saying that Maxine Waters, once again, he has said that she has a low IQ. April
Racist.
Ryan, a lot of other Americans hear that and think it's racist. What was your reaction to the rally, April?
Well, I felt
I love that. People at the rally thought that remark was racist. What do you say, African-American panelist?
watching it, I felt he was in his comfort zone last night. And I did hear him say that about Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters, she was a lawyer prior to Congress. So, I mean, I don't understand how she could have a low IQ. But he clearly doesn't like her because she's calling and has called basically since day one of this Trump administration for his impeachment. If you are against the president or if you stand out saying, look, this is not right, he has a tendency not to like you. But
Since day one. This president needs to be impeached. He is working for Vladimir Putin. He is a racist. He is a sexual abuser. He's a disgusting man. He's tearing the country apart. He's a horrible, horrible human being. He's despicable. He's disgusting. He's a pig. He's working with the KKK. And then it's like, I have no idea why Donald Trump doesn't like me. Why won't Donald be my friend? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, after 18 months of constant racist, bigot, KKK, evil, traitor, and so on, if you expect someone to speak kindly of you in return, you are perhaps, but not necessarily, a low IQ individual.
I really took note of his confidence. He was in his element last night. I mean, he was making fun of presidents. How, you know, he said, well, they want me to be presidential, and he was acting like someone who is presidential. He said, you know, if I came out like that, you'd be bored. So he definitely wanted to entertain them. He understood the entertainment value. It's almost like a preacher.
Sorry to cut you off, April.
To me on Sunday morning.
Exactly. I mean, your point about the...
Did everyone see the white male cut off the African-American woman there? Clearly Brian Stelter's a racist. Mansplaining his white privilege. He thinks he can just interject whenever he wants when he wasn't asked for his opinion. He was just going to come in over the top of April there. He should check himself before he wrecks himself, to be fair, Brian Stelter. Very disappointing. It's very dark. It's very dark stuff there from Brian Stelter. Perhaps a little more than a dash of racial resentment there from Brian Stelter.
Entertainment value. I'm seeing all these tweets, I think probably mostly from liberals or Trump haters, Trump skeptics at least, who are saying that we should not even broadcast these rallies. John Avlon, do you have a reaction to that?
Of course you broadcast them. He's the president of the United States. You don't need to keep the open podium on every candidate and every campaign, but this is inherently newsworthy. That's it. He is a showman at heart. This is the part of the presidency he likes the most, is where he grafts P.T. Barnum onto it. What's really stunning about these rallies, and no question, he gives a good rally, and it's very entertaining. It demeans the presidency in a way that's actually pretty insidious.
It demeans the president?
It ultimately does, because it's not a traveling medicine show. It's It's not a carnival barker position. It's not a reality show. It is reality with incredible life or death, real world responsibility, and simply, having fun with it, and saying, oh, I'm only playfully hating my enemies is a dangerous card that's been played throughout history with usually unwelcome results. And what Selena's describing is also something interesting. The atmosphere sounds like not only a football game, but a dead show. It's a tribal meeting at the end of the day. This is tribal politics. Yeah. And that can be very affirming if you're in the tribe. But that's not what presidents are supposed to do. They're supposed to unite the country, not appeal to identity politics, white identity politics being something that he has really exacerbated and successfully surfed off of.
Donald Trump was appealing to white identity politics by doing a robot impression. What's this? Now, he's another racist. White people are like robots, is the insinuation here. I'm insulted. I'm offended. I'm deeply offended. Brian Stelter, if it's not mansplaining and using your white privilege to suppress a panelist of colour, then it's another guest likening an entire race of individuals to soulless, lifeless robots. I mean, this isn't a dash of racial resentment on reliable sources this week. This is a very dark edition of the Weekly Stelter. This is more than a dash of racial resentment. This is like a bucket of racial resentment poured into a stew until you can no longer taste the grain-fed beef. Absolutely horrendous. Carry on, Brian.
Let's look at another moment from the rally that I thought was notable. And Selena, I'd love your reaction to this. This is from Meet the Press. Chuck Todd took two parts of the rally. One where the president was talking about the media. Then when the president was talking about Kim Jong-un, smash them together. And here's what Todd had to say.
A lot of bad people, a lot of fake media. Look at them. A lot of fake media. Fake media. South Korea came to my office after having gone to North Korea and seeing Kim Jong-un. And no, it's very positive.
Millie, thanks for joining us.
So the image of an American president encouraging boos of the American press corps and discouraging boos of a dictator from North Korea.
It is quite a contrast. So I wonder, Selena.
Donald Trump loves Kim Jong-un. Never ceases to amaze me, the level. This is an absolute shit show. 2 weeks ago, not even, Donald Trump was an unhinged man who was worse than Kim Jong-un. Because I remember the threats, remember the dark imagery on Twitter. Remember Little Rocket Man and how damaging that was to world security, world peace, ladies and gentlemen? Do you remember what the kind of dictator moves that Donald Trump was pulling? And this week, now they're chums. It's like, see, he's just like Kim Jong-un. He's encouraging boos of us, but he's saying don't boo Kim Jong-un. Now Kim Jong-un is the bad guy again. A month ago, he was a victim of Trump's overbearing dictator, authoritarian streak and, irresponsible jokes on Twitter. Poor Kim Jong-un. I mean, look at his sister at the Olympics, ladies and gentlemen. She's stunning. She's marvelous. Look at the North Korean cheerleaders in unison in their little uniforms, bringing joy to the world. And now, Trump's like, Kim's not that bad. What? He's evil. He's a dictator. Carry on, Brian.
When you're there at the rally, is it ever uncomfortable when the fake news media is being booed?
It's part of the shtick. I don't think anybody felt unsafe when it happens. I think it. I don't. So it's hard to unpack in that it's part of his deal. It's sort of like the lock her up. It's you can't lock her up anymore because he's not running against her. So this is a continuation of reminding.
Look, we're getting triggered. We're getting triggered on the panel.
Against him, and he is there for them.
April can't wait to jump in.
And also, he speaks in such a stream of consciousness. It's
Right.
It's when all these things are strung together, people will just keep clapping no matter what. And I was struck by this, and I wanted to make this point. Attending Trump rallies and attending Obama rallies.
Brian.
I wonder what's going to happen after Trump. In that when President Obama spoke, he was so aspirational. He was so eloquent. He really was on a platform of his own. And then Trump is like the opposite. What are we going to do next? I can't even imagine what fills the gap of these two men in their completely different, but sort of historic way that they approach the presidency.
Right. April, I see you wanting to react.
React away, April.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Selena. I totally disagree. This is not shtick. It's not comedy. This is real and it's dangerous. During the campaign, this president talked.
This is real and it's dangerous. Now we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to do it, just for April. Just for lovely April. Allow us to bring up this very real and dangerous, not shtick. This is very real, very dangerous stuff, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Do not be fooled. Ladies and gentlemen, the very dark, the very disturbing, the very dictatorial President Donald Trump, who has no sense of humour whatsoever and threatens life on this planet as we know it, since he is now best friends with Kim Jong-un.
And you know how many people, thousands were turned away. We let thousands in, but thousands were turned away. And I read one woman in the Wall Street Journal today. Nice woman. I like her, actually, Peggy Noonan. And she wrote an article about me. And, I went to the Wharton School of Finance. Nice student. That's very smart. Ivy League school, great, the best business school, I think. It's one of the hardest schools to, even in my day. I went to the Wharton School, did great. And then you got to read how we're like...
Comment there. He was being condescending and rude. He just gave Peggy Noonan a big rap, a big pat on the back. Great woman. Great journalist. Love her. How awful.
Is Trump a good speaker? She's talking about he uses a language that, you know how easy, remember I used to say how easy it is to be presidential? But you'd all be out of here right now. You'd be so bored. Because I could stand out, right?
Look how dark and evil and serious this is. Stop it, Donald. You're scaring me.
I'm very presidential. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight.
You're scaring the children.
Will be a great, great congressman. He will help me very much. He's a fine man, and Yang is a wonderful wife.
This is horrifying stuff here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is not satire. This is not comedy. This is dark, this is disturbing, and this is very, very real indeed.
This is real and it's dangerous. During the campaign, this president talked about kicking people out and beating them up. People did get beat up. And the problem is now, when you...
And there were good people on both sides. Oh!
Make the press the enemy, which he has. There are people out here who are crazy enough to really feel that and to act on it. And, some of my dear colleagues who are going to some of these rallies, some of these rallies have been so tense, they've been fearful for their safety at times. All the president has to say is act on it, and people will turn.
Okay, so all the president has to say at the rally, because people are feeling fearful in the press now, they fear for their safety. Well, one could make the argument that many conservative journalists over the years have received death threats, been forced to move. Recently, Pamela Geller, fine example. Her children, actually, their identities were revealed and information leaked out to some, how would we say, less than upstanding individuals, perhaps, maybe. But apparently Donald Trump bought, and that performance strikes fear into the hearts of the mainstream media. They fear for their safety. And according to April, all Donald Trump has to do is come out and say, okay, attack the journalists. Beat them up. And this ravenous horde of people who have no consciousness of their own, no free will whatsoever, they will turn on the journalists and tear them limb from limb, put them in the hospital, burn down their houses, doing horrible, horrible things to the journalists, just on Donald Trump's orders, which I imagine are just around the corner, because he's made the enemy of the media.
This is someone who has the power of life and death in his tongue and in his pen.
Wow.
And also, the fact that
the power of life and death in his tongue. That's what Stormy Daniels says.
People will turn on the press in a moment's notice. So this is not shtick. This is real for us. And we are covered by the founding fathers, these white men who covered all of us, not knowing that there was social media or people like us covering the White House. So this is a dangerous game. And this president vowed to uphold the Constitution. And the free press is part of that.
What the hell has this got to do with the Constitution? He's not allowed to say that CNN sucks, you see, because of the Constitution. You see. We are the free press because people aren't allowed to criticize us. That's what makes us the free press. We are allowed to just roll out whatever we want. No one shall criticize us because we are the free press. That's what freedom is saying whatever you like and not having anybody say anything critical in return. This is freedom, and the Constitution, and the white founding fathers, and they cover all of us. And this is not a shtick, and people are scared, and all he has to do is tell people to act on this aggression. And the beasts in the audience, their eyes will turn red. The veins will start popping in the sides of their neck. They'll flex their biceps, start picking up pitchforks, heading straight for CNN headquarters.
And he's going against his vow when he was inaugurated. So I take this seriously. And in the call our friend Chuck Todd, SOB, that was wrong. That was totally wrong. Chuck is a stalwart. He's fact-based, and he works hard at what he does. This is not right. Period.
This is the tension that I think we're getting at.
The tension.
Is it just comedy, or is it very...
Can you feel the tension, Brian?
Serious. Let's look at how Chuck Todd addressed this on Meet the Press a few minutes ago. He had the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, on, and Todd, although Todd didn't reference himself, he brought up this issue of vulgarity.
Vulgarity.
Many people, including myself, raise their kids to respect the office of the presidency and the president of the United States. When he uses vulgarity to talk about individuals, what are they supposed to tell their kids?
Oh, God.
Again, I'll be with my kids this...
You're not supposed to tell them anything. You're supposed to put them right back in front of the TV where they will hear all the SOBs and see all the boobies that their little hearts desire. Because that's how we roll. Because everything is now all the president's fault. Ladies and gentlemen, that was...
The Weekly Stelter.
Fantastic stuff.